refresh my page. All right, it says I'm offline. Am I on or am I off? I'm live. All right, I'm live. Yeah, thanks there, Doc. Yeah. Actually, it's called internet just completely. I lost everything. Game connection and the lost my game connection, lost my mumble connection, lost everything all at once. But we're back and we are on our way. So I don't even remember what I was talking about. I hate when that happens. But we were moving on to. Anybody want to remind me where I was? Because I just ramble. I don't even think about what I'm saying half the time. I just ramble. What was our topic of discussion? So I'm doing grass. It was pizza. Yeah, pizza's good. Oh, the splines. Yeah. So if I had only known that the page down button will put the spline right at the ground height when I was doing the railroads, they would be on the tracks a lot better right now. Because left to right, they're pretty centered. And the. Thank you there, Maki. So that's one of the things. And you got to cut those splines out of the group. I don't know how long ago I lost you guys. Cut the splines out of the spline group so you can edit the nodes and then paste them back in after they've been edited. That goes for the traffic splines and the animal splines if you're going to put them in. They can't be edited in the spline group for some silly reason this year. So I'm still learning, but so a quick pass around and redoing the train splines will make them a lot better. It's on my list of things to do, and if it isn't, I better write it on there right now. Just another pass and make those a lot better than they are. They're pretty good. They're functional. We got things functional. Now we got to make them look a little better. There are places where the trains rise up a little bit off the ground, but that was a lot of train spline, man. So what else is going on? I don't have a clue. I've got so many little things. A lot of signs to go on, a lot of help stuff to put in, and a lot of testing to make sure what we have is working. That's the plan for the foreseeable near future. And we'll try to get something out for you guys near the 1st of May when we get to a point where we feel that I mean, I tested most of the factories offline. It's and these guys have been finding stuff on a regular when it slows down and as we bring in a few of those extra new features in the next if it would be sooner if I didn't forget completely that I'm going to have my daughter for one of those weeks and when she's here I like to spend as much time with her as possible because it's only like 4 times a year I get to have her for a week or so. I'll have her for just about the whole month of August though during the summer. So I do tend to this is only secondary when she's here. And then so that adds a little bit of time to my schedule too. Family time has to come first, you know? You guys are not my family yet. Extended family, maybe so, but so I am not even going to cover this bunker today because I'm going to have to mow more grass before it's done. because I won't be here much tonight. Now, the funny thing is, you see how it always has that 29 left? Is that's got everybody else have that bug? It never empties completely. And sometimes it does empty, and then I got to remember to stop offloading. It drives me nuts that that little bit of 29 doesn't empty. I can empty it, but not in the bunker. If I pull out of the bunker, it'll drop that last bit on the ground, but it won't empty that last 29 in the bunker. On the same token, Giants had it fixed where the shovels actually filled up to the proper amount, but now they only go to like 99% again with one of their later updates. This map does require you to make sure you have the latest Giants update. We found that out on the server. It wasn't running the latest update and it would not run the map. So, what update, what version is that? It's 1.4.4, I think, or something like that. You're going to want to make sure you guys get that because if you don't have it, if your game's not up to date when it is released, it's not gonna work. Especially, well, it'll work single player, probably, but it won't work on a server. That's for sure. Yeah, 1.4.4. We couldn't get it to run, and I was. If you guys only knew, it's been so long since we've been playing on the server together that it hadn't been updated since 1.4.2, and I went and threw it up on the server, and everything seemed to, but the server wouldn't boot up because it was throwing an error that did not happen on my computer. So I'm looking through the files and trying to figure out for, I think we spent a good 4 or 5 hours trying to get the first initial server day up and running. And me trying to fiddle with the scripts and stuff, trying to figure out why it would run perfectly fine in single player, but when the server would throw errors. Only to find that our server didn't have the latest software 5 hours later. We found that out because Doc, thank you, Doc, for jumping in with his backup server. He jumped in and put it up on his, and it worked right away. That's what made me think of it. It came right up and was working fine on his, but not on ours. Then I knew something was wrong on our server that was different than his. And it still took me a little while to figure out that we weren't up to snuff on the version to keep it running. But it's running good. I'm sitting here 42 ms. It's funny, the internet, I'd say we've been having problems with the internet. And the problem is not the ms or the connection. It's great when it's working, but it's those little outages that just kick me right off, and that's why they're getting better. So far, we've dropped once in the past. Yesterday, I dropped 3 times in like a very short amount of time, and then it cleared up for the rest of the day. But a week ago, when I missed my show on Thursday, it was dropping like that every 5 minutes for like the last 3 days, 4 days in a row. I'd get internet, but it was just crazy. Couldn't jump in and do anything. Couldn't even start an upload without it crashing. So it was just impossible to deal with. So they're working on it apparently, slowly going away. Yeah, you need to update the map over there too. But it's running good, and I have to optimize it to make it run a little bit better. I basically have 2 more steps of the process, and I think I went over. If I didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't I go over in one of our videos last year on how to optimize your map and the tools I use? might be a good refresher for anybody that's making a map. It's such a huge, important part of making a map, especially a map that is of the size of this one, and making it very playable for a lot of people, because no, there's a lot of people out there that make maps that don't do any optimization whatsoever, and the files are bloated. There's no way I could have pulled this map off with all these factories and all the buildings and everything I have in here and made it playable for you guys without the techniques that I have learned to use to get them up and running. And the first thing is, when your map is done, you have to export it into a whole new map and make sure you copy over any files that don't come in through the export. Check your error logs, grab any files that show errors. But an export will clean out all the additional files that you don't, the map does not need to run, that you might have. And it also combines all the individual i3ds for the buildings and stuff that you imported into the main i3d file, which just makes it easier to read through. And it definitely makes a huge difference. And that's the step I ran before. If you could do anything, do that. Because once you do that, it clears up things quite a bit. So step one is that, and I did that, and oh, it's that. Gotta close my thing. It's that one step that a lot of people don't even bother doing, but will make a map run smoothly. And also, it got rid of 40 megabytes worth of files in the file size that I had before I released it to these guys. It was 1.7 gigs, and I'm down to 1.33. So I had to do it to get it under. So that's step one. Everybody should do that when you're optimizing your map. Export it into its own new map, and then make sure all the files are linked. If you're getting any errors in the Giants editor, you want to hunt down those files that didn't get copied over. Play the game through and hunt down those files. Once you get used to it, like I have, you know the i3D files for like palettes, the sound folder, the sound files often don't get copied, and any particles. So if you're smart and not like me, you keep those all in one place, and you can easily copy those folders over, and you'll be good to go. I forgot the a few of the palettes were missing when I did the export, and we had a couple other minor things that didn't come over, and we hunted them down, but it's working now. That's one of the, it just happens. Otherwise, you get errors. So the other steps, just to give you guys an idea of what further can reduce your file size greatly. Also, textures running in memory. And I have not done this yet on this map, and I know it's going to be a big one as well. If we look at this map, let me pull up, if I can remember, is F8? If you look at the textures, I got 1,994 megabytes in texture memory on there. And we can drop that down considerably, because as you import individual objects, there's a lot of textures that are used over and over and over again. Now, let me get rid of the rest of that menu. So as you import them, you'll get multiple copies of the same texture, which means that you actually have to load the texture twice. It can't tell that it's the same texture in many instances if they're imported on separate objects, unless you tell it to just load from the same texture. So common ones like a cement texture that's probably on every factory as I imported them individually will, I just go back into the i3D file and import them. Basically, I did a whole video on this, and I use a program called Duplicate Picture Finder. It goes through and it'll even find pictures that don't have the same name but are the same texture. And I'll find out what factories they are, and then I actually open the i3D in Notepad++ and redirect the links all to the same picture, and then I can remove those extra texture files completely. And then the map size, file size goes down, but also textures running in memory goes down quite a bit as well, so it makes the map much more playable in that aspect. The latest update is in the folder. This map with all its factories and stuff is a whole new version 2 is a whole new thing. So if you're looking for what I have here, the factories and stuff, PV17 original map is our last release, but that came out quite a while ago. This one will not be released for, and you will if you were playing on the PV17 original. You'll have to start over just because of all the new content that's going to be in this one. If you know anything about editing XML files, you can copy and paste some of your equipment and stuff into the game or refill your silos if you want to. But I'm not going to get into that. In the current state, it will not run. You'd have to bring your stuff in manually by editing the file. Oh, the Giants update. Ah, right. Giants website. Go to the forums and look on the. Actually, not the forums. Here, let me see if I could pull this up for you. Uh, if you go to farmingsimulator.com, just so you guys know, and you click the updates button right there on the top, and you want to grab the update 1.4.4 download. If you're on Steam, it should have already installed for you guys on Steam automatically. So make sure you get that up to date before we release. Sorry about that. Yeah, I get often asked, no, not all the factories and stuff you have in PV Rivers will be in this map because uh, the animal products are not in this map. The ones that ran in Rivers, and nothing is buildable because the UPK kit did not support it yet. They on servers correctly where it would handle all this. So you don't have any of the buildable objects this time around. Anything that ran on the UPK kit is not in here, which is kind of nice, but the map is set up a little bit differently, but the products like the butcher shop and the pizza place, the ones that took animal products, we decided to skip altogether on this one. And we replaced a couple of those factories with the furniture factory and the Del Monte factory. They're new in this version. Campbell's soup we took out because, as nice as it was, it relied heavily on a lot of the meat products that we could not get because the animal triggers would not take the in-game animals, and they never did the Schweinemass script for us to create the individual barns over. So that is why, and also there's no egg laying station either to get us eggs to use in some of those as well. So we made the modifications to take those out. Everything else, most of the factories are in here. There's 23 factories. It was just the butcher shop and anything that pretty much relied on, like the pizza place had the meat pizza. It's actually a sell point in here now without pizza. So the pizza's not back. The animal milking and the truffle hogs are not here. Um, Trying to think of what else did not make, and Campbell's soup. But most of the other stuff is with a couple additions. Now, interesting to note is lavender and peanut currently do not go in a factory. And I don't know, let's see. I'm going to need some feedback. I'm going to have somebody run this on a lower res screen. But if I go to the factories, uh, the list is pretty long. I could probably get away down the road with adding a couple more in there and get. Oh, what did I do? I hate when that happens. My mouse just went a little freaky, but I really need to run it on a lower resolution. The 1024 by 768 I think will be the lowest resolution that will support. 800 by 600 I just don't think is doable. And I got to check the menus to make sure they still fit on that screen before I add anything more. So I'll have to down my resolution and run the game at some point, unless somebody on our server wants to do that test for me. But a peanut factory and something to do the lavender have been talked about. They're just currently not in it. And they can be added if we have the room on the menu. You'll run it on every, yeah, I'm sure. So I will test that out and see what it will do. I just haven't done it. I've been designing it for my screen resolution, and uh, I gotta check and make sure. But if there's room, we can add more factories. I have no problem with adding them in, and even crop types. But I gotta get at least the 1024 by 768. We got to be able to see that whole menu thing. I was kind of disappointed because there's a font size adjuster, but it doesn't actually scale the menu. It scales the font size, but not the menu. And what I'm talking about there is if I go to the settings here, and you'll see the point size here. If I highlight over it and scroll button, I can make the fonts bigger so you guys can read them, but it doesn't change the menu size. It just changes the size in the box. So I was hoping it would shrink it down, but nope, no such luck. You gotta find a way. Thank you for the follow out, uh, BSU Octane. Thank you for the follow there. So, we were going to do possibly in the future, and those are ones that will take some time because we got to develop them from scratch. But we were going to do a candle factory if we bring in some beehives that actually produce honey, then use that with the lavender to create, oh, not, yeah, produce honey and wax, and then use the wax and honey products to make candles and I don't know, we'll make lollipops out of the honey. I don't know. But that's one possibility, as well as peanut butter or dry roasted peanuts or something along that line, which would be designed from scratch. So it's not going to make it into the first release, but it's something that we might add down the road if it's possible. It won't make it into beta unless we wanted to wait another month or two. Now I'm just dumping that last bit of grass on the ground to get back to zero. I think I should change the color of the windows to make them easier to see. What do you guys think? It's kind of tough to see sometimes. But those are the things that I mean, it matches nicely. But what can we do to make the windows stand out a little bit more so you can see it on the field? Should I change the color or leave it as is? I mean, if we change it a little bit lighter, it might be easier to see where your piles are because it blends in so much. Darker, we can go darker. Yeah, I guess darker would make sense, but it's blends in so well that sometimes my eyes, especially when I was doing this in the dark yesterday, I could not see where I had to go, where I left off my last row. At least you could see it in the daylight. Trying to read. Yeah. So, let's see. What do we got here? I'm going to be off here in about 15 minutes and getting things wrapped up and me ready to. I got to go pick up some people and going to go to a hockey game tonight. You might see me later, but I don't know. I'm going to try to get some other stuff done on the map, but it won't be at the normal 9 o'clock time. Just keep an eye on my channel, get the alerts, the follow alerts, because at this point, it's just going to happen when it happens for the next few weeks with all the things that are going to be going on. So, you guys make sure you get the alerts when I'm streaming because I'm not going to stick to any crazy schedule right now until after my daughter goes back from Easter. We're just going to pop on when I'm playtesting or when I have stuff to show you guys, and keep an eye out too for Docket and will anybody else that wants to stream. Hunter Farmer 101 might get back into doing some streaming as well from our server. I expect Viper at some point might be over here and doing some streaming on the map. And a whole host of other people. So we'll get you the. Oh, Big Daddy might jump in. I know he's working on some things. He might have some stuff to show you. So just keep an eye out, and we shall keep you updated. And you'll get to see a lot more play as we develop the last few steps and bring new stuff into the map and get it working. But there's a lot more playing going on right now too by me. I'm gonna put these two videos. It'll be a two-part because we crashed once, and if we crash again, it's the end of my stream, and I apologize. I'll say goodnight in the text, but we only got another few minutes left to go here. But I'll put these two up before I leave because on YouTube because I want to make sure those guys that usually tune me in at 9 o'clock tonight have a place to go to watch them easily if they need to, if they couldn't make it here. And we'll start trying to get better at releasing these up on YouTube as we go along. If there's any other ones that I haven't released that are still in my library, I'll release those up there too. But yeah, we are gonna just be popping in and out for the next few weeks when we can, all different hours of the day, and finishing up a lot of things. We'll either be having stuff to show you or you'll be watching us farm because that's part of the project. Just playing. See, when I get to the end, it has that 29 left. I've been just offloading it on the ground. That's why you see all these little piles behind. We'll scoop them up later. I'm going to finish up this field. I should only have a few more passes. There's a lot of grass on this farm. I'm kind of anxious to see. I fertilized it this time all 3 times. Wanted to see how much better the yield was from yesterday. Because when it's a starter field, I didn't have fertilizer and it was lower. One note for you guys, if anybody can tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, why my starter fields that I created do not allow you to use a hired worker until you do them once, it's beyond me. I have not figured it out. I set them up. I'm doing something wrong probably, but those big fields, if I could change that, I would, so that it would work with hired workers. But everything I've tried, there's got to be something that I'm just not aware of why the hired worker won't work on my created field. Whether I'm setting the starting field texture on those wrong or something, that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, it's not a big issue, but for a single player, I did do a single player pass through, and when I got to the cultivator stage on that big muster field and I had to do it by hand, it was like, oh man, really? I can't use a hired worker? You think it happens on all modded maps? Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But the funny thing is, it doesn't happen on the 3 starter fields the Giants provided. So I'm wondering if it's a setting that I'm missing somewhere. Only the ones that I created and made into starter fields are the ones it happens to. And it is only a minor setback. You just got to do it once by hand, but still. Oh, yeah, I'm already over the amount of. I had 360 something in here from doing 2 fertilizer passes, and I'm almost 400 right now. Over 400, and I'm not even done yet. So you get a little bit more. See, I tried that. I tried to hire him. It works on some of the equipment, but the little cultivator, it would not kick in for me whatsoever. Hiring the worker multiple times, I was like hitting it 3, 4 times on that starter field. Just would not go. But I thought there was probably some setting that I was doing wrong. Documentation on that stuff is not non-existent a lot of times. So a few more passes and I got to fertilize this thing, but we're getting close. I don't know if I'll have time to get it all in. Doc's going to be coming back on shortly after I'm done, and he'll be streaming from his farm wherever it is. He's over with Dan, Hunter Farmer, and you'll get a look at it from that side. Evan's farm, yeah. Which they need signs. Definitely need signs so we know. I got to create signs for the farms. Actually, I could create new names, but I decided I'll keep names that are in the original. A lot of the things that I do on these things too is in order to make the maps run efficiently is try to reuse assets and also reuse stuff that's not necessary to bring in new stuff because I'd much rather have the map be as small as possible. It allows us to do more and add more. That I mean, I could theoretically bring in different looking BGAs for each farm and stuff, but all those extra textures and stuff just add to file size. And don't add to actual uh, gameplay. So why when you're making a map, a 4x map, and you want to bring a lot of different things in, you gotta save where stuff that really doesn't make too much of a big difference if you duplicate it here or there, because it'll save you assets, and that'll allow you to bring in a couple more factories down the line or other stuff, additional crops, because everything requires more memory, more files. So bridges and things that are around the map, bringing in 10 different types. That's why all the railroad bridges, for instance, are the same. If I started bringing in just multiple bridges, then you got different graphic files and everything, and everything adds on. So I try to limit the repetitive objects are pretty much the same in the map, but when you get and save it for different factory types and things like that, then you get more variety. Yeah, Doc will be up. I believe he's going to be running up on this server. I'm not sure. He also has it on his server, the backup server. He could be running on there. But yeah, his is on this server, Evans Farm. All right, so that's a good enough grass load for me. One other bug took me forever to figure out how to fix, and I don't even know. I think it might. Did we ever? The current version of PV15, the sprayer or the spreader didn't work correctly. The graphic on it, and I don't know if I ever got it fixed, but it kept haunting me and coming back not working. And it did the same thing here. I'm going to leave that bunker there. And I figured out as I imported the new one, I exported it from, oh, gotta close it. I exported it from the original map and then imported it, and it still would not work. So if you have like a particle effect or something, and you export it out of the original map, open it up by itself and save it before importing into the map, because this particle effect was driving me nuts. Every now and then I'd load up the map and it would disappear. The fertilizer. I'm going to just fertilize my field and then I'm off for the day. So then that's how long you got. It will only take a few minutes here, Doc, before I am done fertilizing, and then I'll let you go from there. And I'm going to put him on auto host and leave the house so you'll be able to get to him. Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. But I got the particle fix, you see, for all of you guys on the server. It's now working. Yeah, that's been disappearing every now and then. So I exported it from the map, and rather than just importing it into my map, I actually opened it up separately and just resaved it after the export, and it fixed the problem. So if you're running into that issue, there you go. Never enough money to cheat. What's it gonna take? Oh, hmm. If you're gonna pay somebody, pay me. I'll let you know how much it's gonna take. No, Doc's a good guy. Actually, Doc's responsible for me streaming. He got me started, and that was a while ago. So, you guys getting to listen to me, if you don't like it, blame it on him. If you do, send him a thanks and stop by his stream and watch him a little bit, because he's the one. I was just minding my own business. and then he came along. Yeah, blame him. You know it. Yep, you can blame him. If you're tired of listening to me, you can blame Doc. Because if he didn't come along, I probably still wouldn't be streaming today. I'm thanking him because he's done me a world of good. Put me in touch with you guys, which gives you guys some input, and you've given me so much help during the process, and you've made it so much better. And it actually, even in the times when I'm totally fed up with doing this map stuff, you guys kept me going. So I could have easily disappeared, but you guys have helped me out so much that I stopped actually playing for a while, and I just wanted to make sure you guys had these maps even when I didn't. But now I'm back into wanting to play them a little bit, and we're going to have a map for you guys as well. Blamed on hashtag. Hashtag. That's funny. KW. Gotta give some props to KW too for always being out there monitoring these streams in the farming community and keeping everybody on their toes. Been a super huge help. KW is the man. You know it. So I hope you're getting ready, K hashtag KW mod for life. He just does what he can, which is more than enough. What is watching 20? I mean, he's always there. He just pops in whenever I start up a stream. He's there, and he's also in 20 other ones at the same time. Actually, maybe it should say KW get a life because he's here all the time. No, only kidding, my friend. Thanks, Amaki. That applies to uh, pre-stream in 2 minutes. Yes. Uh, I've got four more passes on this field. Looks like, and then I will be done. And you can switch over to WP Docket's stream, and I will be hosting him as soon as I get off of here. Or jump right over to his stream. Do him a favor, give him a follow if you haven't, and he'll let you ride around the map and see more and see if he finds any errors for me while I'm out tonight. But it's running pretty good. I'm very pleased with where it is right now, but we have a lot of testing to go and a lot more stuff to come in. So keep an eye out for that. Doc has to run to Timmy's. All right. Got to go to Horton's, get his coffee fix before he starts streaming. He'd probably be on all night, knowing him. He might be on when I get back. All right, so yeah, I think we covered most of the stuff today. It's the weekend. I'll be playing a little bit, but I'll be out of the house quite a bit. You might see me playing. I'll might be doing some tweaks and stuff, but I got a lot of graphic stuff to make, signage and stuff to do as well. So that'll probably wait till Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll get another show. We'll get the shows in when we can, and you guys will see them. Like I said, just keep a track of when I'm here. Keep me on your little pop-up list because I don't even know when my next broadcast is going to be, the way the schedule works out. But I'll be around, and we'll either be farming or showing you some more new stuff as it makes its entrance. Oh, he doesn't want to interrupt my game with syncing. You can interrupt it as soon as I get back to the field. I mean, back to my garage. I got to put my stuff away so that I'm not causing you guys lag. All right, missed a little spot right there. All right, we're good with that. Ready to go for another day. I will. Thank you very much there, Doc. They never win. Teams called the Myra Jackals. I'm sure they're going to lose. But you know what? If you like rooting for the underdog, you can't pick a better team because I've never seen them win a game and I've been to five of them so far. Let's see. We shut this. One thing I would like to say is before we leave, if you're using the latest version of the all right, I have a couple things. If you're using the latest version of the vehicle group switcher like we are, then the vehicles will return in the proper groups, not like they did last year. But that being said, if you use a vehicle to tab to your farm, you guys want to leave one out. Thank
Awesome
you.
work, Dave.
Th-
Looking forward for the release.
Thank you so much, Put81 for the $30 donation. Appreciate it very much. All right. So, if you're going to want to tab into a vehicle, I always leave my pickup truck out so I can tab into it to get back to my farm to open my garages. That's the only. So one vehicle makes that easy. You could always tab to the bunker at your farm through the map by going and finding your little map on the, yeah, wherever you are. Uh, I don't even know where my farm is. It is down this side. Johnson Barton. You could click on. Oops, I thought I clicked on it. That was the vehicle. You could click on arrow Johnson Farm BGA and visit, and it'll bring you there. But if you want to use the tab, just tab into a vehicle, leave one out. That's what I do. All right, thank you so much for all the donations and all the new followers. And I'm gonna head out of here and give Docket hand it over to his stream. You can watch the map a little bit more. He'll be streaming for I don't know how long. But thanks everybody for showing up, and we'll catch you again very soon. And we'll keep you updated. PC, PC, PC. So, have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch y'all later.